Okay, so this is my review of the Cecilio violin. You can see it here. Um, okay, so to not be too long, my expectations of this was basically that it was going to have some issues with some of the hardware, and it did, but not as many as I thought rather. Um, okay, so let's start with from the top down, I guess. So the pegs, they actually were very good pegs. They had this cool little inlay design on them, same as my acoustic violin. It was $2,000. So they did slip though, so I needed to put some peg dope on those, and after that they worked great. The nut, as I expected, was too high. So you'll probably have to get that adjusted. When I called the various music stores to find out what that costs, it was on an average of $25. So that's a lot cheaper than buying a violin that's correct to start with. And so the fingerboard, just fine, like no problems with that. And I'm not sure if everything is ebony as they claim. It's probably not. It's probably like rosewood or something like that. That's hard, but it's a lot cheaper and easier to deal with, because that's why they work with that. It's not. Ebony is very hard on woodworking tools. So anyway, going down, the bridge I thought might need some adjusting also. So I actually ordered a new bridge, but this bridge was perfect in the way it was set up and so forth. So I didn't have to make any adjustments there. So that was really good. I'm not sure if all of them are that way. Some people complain about the bridge, but this one was just fine. And that's not expensive either to fix. If you have that adjusted, it's another $20. So the tailpiece was actually just fine. Has the same design as these pegs do for the inlay that ends up being right here. You can see that. And so I just didn't like the style of it, because it comes with the metal ones that it's just where they attach metal fine tuners to a tailpiece that basically you can take those off and just use the pegs to tune. But I like the Whitner fine tuner tailpieces. They're made of a really hard plastic, and they're just really consistent and high quality, and the tuners are always smooth. So I just replaced it with that. It wasn't because the previous one was unusable. And that was a very easy thing to do. Let's see, so obviously the chin rest was fine. I mean, there's not a whole lot wrong you can go with. You can have wrong with the chin rest. Well, okay, so the pickup was the main thing I was concerned about. I said to myself, if the pickup is good, then basically the rest can be adjusted or replaced. But the pickup I thought was very good. The only complaint I'd make about it is just that it doesn't have a 1/4 inch input. Like a lot of like every electric guitar and many electric instruments have. That would be easier, but you can just buy the cables that are the 1/8 input to a 1/4 output are pretty common, so you can order those, no problem. And the one that came with it was a good length, and it worked really well. So it uses that 9-volt battery. I'm not sure how fast it drains a regular battery. Of course, the battery that it came with drained pretty fast, but I kept leaving the pickup or the preamp on. And by the way, as far as the sound comparison, I actually went today to the music store to kind of compare it with other instruments, and the instruments I tried were the bridge lyra violins. They make a 5-string version that where the body is made of carbon fiber, and it has a fine-tuned tailpiece and all the works. It is a very well designed violin. Definitely, if I had tons of money to blow, I'd just get one of those. So compared to that, the sound was pretty subpar. Um, that's probably the best I've ever heard an electric sound. Um, but I also compared it to the Yamaha series of silent electric violins, and that I thought was it was equal to the sound of it, if not better, because there are more tone controls and things like that. And Yamaha's instruments are the same cost as the bridge violin that I was playing, which was about 1,400. And they're made in the UK and everything, which I think is cool. I like the UK. Whereas the Yamaha it's just okay quality, especially for what you pay. So anyway, and the main difference between those violins and this one would be the weight. This is about 3 times as heavy, I'd say. I haven't weighed it, but it feels that way to me. About 3 times as heavy as a regular violin. Another cool thing I want to mention is it does fit a standard shoulder rest, so you can put that on, and you're just fine using your acoustic violin shoulder rest. As far as all the other things that came with it, I wasn't really expecting them to be anything. I threw away the rosin. I didn't even try it. It came with a really nice cloth, if that means anything. And the headphones, I haven't tried them. They're probably, subpar. And the bow, I did look at that because I thought people would want to know. It looks perfectly straight to me. I'm not sure what the quality of the horsehair is, so forth. I just have a couple really good bows, so I wasn't concerned about that. If you need to get another bow, because the one that comes with this is just so subpar, then they're not that expensive. You can get a carbon fiber one from Amazon as well for it seems like they're pretty good. I haven't tried any of them, but like for around 60, it seems like you can get a pretty good one. So, and the case was perfectly good as well. Very light. And I thought the complaints about the cases were kind of ridiculous. I mean, some people were saying they had a petroleum smell, and just, it's like, why is that even relevant? But anyway, so overall, I thought it was a really good violin. When I told my boss how much this violin was after playing it for him, he was shocked. He said, "That's it? 120?" So, very good way to get a budget electric violin, as long as you're willing to do a few change rounds. I just remember the one thing I forgot to mention is the strings. They are definitely subpar, but I ordered a thing of the Zayek strings by D'Addario to replace these when I feel like changing them. That's not a hard thing to do at all. And I think a music store would probably charge you $20 to change, $10 to $20 to change the strings for the labor alone, which is a ripoff. It's really easy to do. Just look it up. I mean, unless you just don't like changing your strings. But anyway, overall, I thought it was a really great deal, and I'd recommend it as long as you're willing to do those little changes.
See if I can get it. very muted, a little nasally, but enough for you to have an enjoyable practice. And you can play comfortably with the headphones on. Keep in mind, this review is from a beginner's point of view. I've been playing since May of 2018. It's been about 9 months now. And having experimented with a lot of inexpensive violins, I know the issues that come with buying a low budget violin. And one of the issues is that the strings tend to cut into your fingers. This doesn't happen with this violin. Another issue is that the parts are not very high quality, so the tail guts tend to break easily. This is not the case with this violin. The fingerboard might be Ebony, I'm not sure because I can't tell the difference, but it does maintain its color very well, and when I play I don't get the dyes on a black dye on my fingers, so most likely this is an Ebony fingerboard. Another issue that I tend to get with inexpensive violins or budget violins is that the pegs tend to unravel, and that is not the case with this violin. In fact, this has been the easiest violin to tune. I haven't had any problems. It's easy to use these fine tuners as well, which is what I've mostly been using ever since the initial time I've tuned this violin. So I highly recommend this for any beginner that wants to experiment with this type of instrument. Now, there are two cons that I found with this violin. Now, let me just take off my headphones for now. Now, with the violin itself, the two cons I have found, first is the chin rest. Now, it comes with a very good Guarneri style chin rest. Now, typically with these chin rests, the center brackets tend to hit my collarbone and cause a lot of irritation. So the first thing I needed to do with this violin to play it comfortably was to change out the chin rest. And it's not easy to change out the chin rest. Why? Because the actual body of this electric violin is thinner. This area right here is thinner than your typical acoustic violin. So a typical bracket like this one is too tall. It will not close in to be this as short as the width of this violin body. So I decided I'll just use the bracket from this chin rest and apply it to the chin rest I want. Easy, right? But no, the bracket that comes with the chin rest is more narrow than a standard bracket. So the chin rest wasn't going to fit to this new bracket. I had to drill another hole to accommodate the bracket that came with the original chin rest. And as you can see, there's that extra hole right there. And right next to it, I drilled another hole. And that solved my problem. And I was able to mount this different chin rest, and now I'm able to comfortably play it without having any chin rest issues. So if you are compatible to this type of chin rest, you will not have that problem at all. So that's one con. So the second con I found, I would prefer the bridge to be a little more curved. It's not too angled as what I'm used to. My acoustic violins have a little more angle between the D and the G string. So with this violin, you will not have too much trouble playing double stops, but you would have to make a little bit of an adjustment when playing single strings, because I tended to hit the G string a lot. But after a lot of practice with this violin, I am able to play without hitting the G string as often as I used to. But I will probably have the bridge adjusted a little more so that the curve is a little more pronounced between the D and the G string. So that's the second con. Other than that, I really, really enjoy playing this violin. It's you don't need too much of a transition when you get started with this one. You don't need to change out the strings. The finish is beautiful, the details are beautiful, and you can get a good tone out of it if you practice enough. So for any beginner, any novice to electric violins, I highly recommend you get your feet wet with this one. My overall rating for this violin, if it were a 5-star rating, I would say it's 4 out of 5 stars. Only because of the minor modifications you have to do to make this violin comfortable to play. But they're very minor. Or the cost, which is around the $120 range, the value is very, very, very good. Highly recommend it. And like I said, it's a lot of fun to play. I can't wait to experiment with different audio effects once I get an effects processor or an audio interface to connect to my computer. Anyways, that's my review for now. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.
I have been practicing my new violin for about an hour now. Here is a rough interpretation of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and today's date is January 4th, 2016.
nice.